Peace, Osio Halito.
Hey, estamos aquí. Estamos. What's going on, family? What's popping? I see your cuz. What's popping, David?
Yes. Well, y'all in for a treat tonight. We have a very special guest, uh, Chief Eagle Elk, and he has two other guests. ChitoPa, did you want to add anything before I pull?
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm in the hair lab again, so so yeah, we getting it in. But yeah, we have a prestigious guest. He is a Mapu, of his nation, and he's also one of the pioneers and founder of the North American or Native American Warrior Society dealing with martial arts that I'm also a part of. You know what I'm saying?
Part of Atasa?
Yeah, so we get it in and everything, and we train and we share information that's dealing with that side of the family and stuff. He's also family, So let's bring my big cousin in,
Yes.
Eagle Elk, bring him on in.
Peace, Chief.
Peace, ChitoPa, Redtail. What's going on?
What's going on with your cuz? What's going on with your baby?
Hey man, it's all good. It's just hot. It's cooling off. It's hot, hot, hot. I'm about to pass out cutting grass today.
Oh, thank you for joining us. Thank you for
Yes.
gracing our podcast with your presence. We appreciate you.
I appreciate it. Thank you. I'm honored.
Yes.
Yeah, it's been a long time since you and I actually been on the radio together. Because the last time I was on the show that you have, the
TalkingStick radio back then.
The Talking Stick, yeah. And now you're on this Talking Stick now.
Hey, that's talking. I know, right?
Talking Stick.
Yeah, the Southeastern Talking Stick. Yeah.
Circle.
Full circle.
Yeah.
So how you been doing, fam?
Man, I've been doing okay. I'm on granddaddy duty all the time. I got 4 little ones now. You probably seen them all over Facebook. I haven't been in my account since Christmas, so I haven't been able to post pictures of the babies or anything else in my account under Lovell Piers Moore. But that's all I'm doing, man. Is tribal business, family business, and out there grinding every day.
Right.
Can you break down? Okay. What is your tribal nation? Can you let the people know who you are and what you stand for in case they do not know you?
Oh, absolutely. I tell you who I am, and I tell you who I'm not. So the nation, the tribe is we're the Cape Fear Band of Skarure, and we're of Skarure Woccon Indians. Skarure is how most people would say Tuscarora. So Skarure is actually in the Iroquois language. Woccon was a separate nation who was absorbed into the Tuscarora into one bloodline. So you see a lot of the chiefs from Indian Woods migrating down into the area of the Woccon because they all were same bloodline, Cape Fear region, all the way up into Jamestown, Northampton area of Virginia. Now, who I'm not a Moor, even though my biological great grandfather's last name is Moor, not the Moor from Morocco, or the Moor Science Temple, or the splinter groups. No affiliation. Have I learned from those guys in the past? Yes, I have. I learned from a lot of people. I have a lot of people I learned from. Just because I sit there and I learn from you, don't mean that I'm going to join you.
Right.
I'm not a Hebrew Israelite. Have I learned from them? Yes, big time. From 1989 throughout, from 89 to 1998, I was studying with Hebrews. Then after 98, I started studying with the metaphysical order, Essene Order of Melchizedek out of Ashkelon, Israel. And then I actually joined a Jewish synagogue, joined them. And I was had a good relationship with Rabbi Bennett, Rabbi Judy, and I learned a lot from them. We had some very interesting conversations behind closed doors. That's when I learned how to read, write, speak archaic script and block Hebrew. So if you know the language, you know, we got so many peddlers out there that's selling you a story, but once you learn the language, you know, really can't sell that story too much anymore.
Right.
So that's who I'm not. I'm not, even though I learned from those, you know, I learned from a lot of people. And then I think it was around 2002, I met a guy named Kadar, who was a Moorish guy. You know, I was learning from him too. A lot of interesting information, things that was pertaining to law. And then he told me he was a Cherokee. I said, all right. So he was a Moorish Cherokee. I didn't question him about that. Wasn't my place to question him about that. I was just learning a lot of things pertaining to legal matters from him because he's very astute in it. Did I join his organization? Nope. I don't endorse or promote a lot of the things that they do. Some of the folks that I was sitting around and learning from are some of those people I don't even affiliate with anymore, because you know when you live with somebody, you get to learn their true nature. Or when you're around people long enough, you know they'll show you the ugly side. So I've seen some things that was borderline criminal and just things I didn't want to be a part of. And then one of these guys ended up stealing my identity and got into my bank account, all kinds of crazy mess. So yeah, from all these different paths, they have good information, but I can't be them, and I'm not going to let them be me. We're not like that. I don't believe that the American Negro is Judah and Issachar and Benjamin. All you know, no. I don't endorse none of that stuff.
Right.
Yeah, I'm glad you broke that down. You showed your journey. So, about your heritage. When you said you went through these schools of thought, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Hebrew, the Moor, and you already knew about your tribal history, your tribal nation history.
I knew some
Okay.
because yeah, we're talking back in the 90s, early 2000s. I didn't know about my Tuscarora lineage, and I had an elder kind of pound that into me when I came back from South Carolina. But that I'll explain that. Growing up in the Lake Waccamaw area, I'm 30 minutes away from the Lumbee, and that's in Robeson County, the next county over. Which in that county as well, you have multiple Tuscarora communities. I'm about 15 minutes away from the Waccamaw Siouan tribal grounds. And then if I go south, taking the back roads going south, I'm about 35, 40 minutes away from Chief Hatcher, Waccamaw, South Carolina. So the school I went to, it was black, white, Waccamaw Siouan. So we grew up knowing about an indigenous presence. We grew up knowing we had the ancestry, but we grew up not knowing how deep the rabbit hole went. The family, when you press, like my mother and my father, when I pressed them for certain questions, you know, we have to talk about a whole lot of things, and then it comes out. But if I don't press them, they won't say anything. Back then, I wasn't pressing them for any information. I started pressing the family for information around 2012. Around 2012. Growing up here, I know how some, and so when I say Lumbee, Waccamaw, Siouan, I'm saying some. I don't want to cookie cut it and say everybody in the Lumbee is, thinks one kind of way, all the Woccon thinks one kind of way. You have good people in every nation, in everywhere. Whether they've shown you that dark side or not, everybody has a dark side. People say things that they later come back to regret. So there's been people in the Lumbee. There's not necessarily many Woccon, but mostly there's been people in the Lumbee who said some crazy things because they didn't know any better,
Right.
But yeah, but we all grew up together here, knowing about the indigenous presence. We just didn't know how deep that rabbit hole went. So I didn't want to press any of the tribes around here about becoming a part of them, because I already know too many family members who wanted to become a part of some of the local state tribes. And even though they may have had a grandfather grow up in the community of the tribe, because they now live in the black side, they're considered black and not able to join, because now you don't have the same social connections, you don't use the same churches, you don't use the same funeral homes, and so on and so on. I've seen too many family members getting turned away and getting pissed off because of that. So at the time, I think it was around 2014, I didn't want to subject my kids to that because my older son was interested in knowing more. Now that I'm pressing and asking questions about it, now he's becoming inquisitive. So I went down to South Carolina, and that's when I met ChitoPa, and I stayed down there for about a year, with them. So after that, after a year was up, and I came back home, me and my kids, we were just sitting in the living room, and I say, let's take a day trip to Charlotte, because we lived in Charlotte for about 22 years. Let's take a day trip to Charlotte. So on our way to Charlotte, I just had a thought. I said, son, isn't it a Skarure reservation nearby? He said, I think so. I'm not sure. So I was driving. I told him to Google it real quick. And it was the next, we were coming right up on the exit that we were supposed to take. So I took that exit, and I went over to go see Chief Leon. So somebody told me which home was Chief Leon's home, the late Chief Leon. He's passed away now. So when I went to his house and I knocked on the door, my cousin answered. He's an elder pipe carrier for Skarure Nation, for the Skarure people. He looked at me. He said, "Where have you been?" I said, "What you mean?" I said, "I was in South Carolina living on another Indian tribe." He said, "What you doing that for? Is this your people right here? You're home now? Have you lost your mind?" I said, "No, I didn't lose my mind. I just didn't want to deal with my family here because I know how they are." So that started the journey with the Skarure, learning from some of the elders who've been living this life for a long time. We have quite a few family historians who, are able to go back pretty far. And the Spaldings, the Freemans, the Mitchells, the Jacobs, the Moores, and I know I'm leaving out quite a few different names, but some of the core names around here, Graham. We have Kevin Graham, who's an historian, mainly on the Graham side, and how Blanks and all our other family names or tribal names married into the Grahams, or the Grahams married into other families. Then you have our historians who know the Freeman side like the back of their hand, and how they intermarried or others intermarried into them. And then we have Luke Alexander and Derek Keith and Romella Mitchell. So we got a lot of family historians who know our story. So when I hear people, and I'm sorry I'm running off, but people who leave crazy comments on my channel who are not even from here, trying to speak like they know things here, and they're basing everything on stuff that they're reading that these European people of European descent, these scholars wrote. Not the families, the European people.
Right.
So yeah, they leave some crazy comments. I'm like, sometimes I leave the comment up just so other people can see how stupid it is.
They don't understand
Mm-hmm.
it. They think the Europeans say it with a grain of salt, you know.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. So from that point, where did you start to take your position?
That was around 2017, I think. Had I think it was around 2017. Few of the elders were. So let me back up a second. We had a cousin who created the Cape Fear Indians of Bladen and Columbus County back in, I think, maybe 2001 or somewhere in that area. And a lot of the family in the surrounding counties were involved. But I think it was after, in the neighborhood of 10 years, it just kind of died out. So when I moved back home and they were telling me about it, when we looked it up, it was still active with the Secretary of State because it was a 501c3. It was still active. So they wanted to know, should we go that route and sign that over and make me the agent for the nonprofit, or do we want to go Tuscarora? Do we want to talk to Chief Hatcher about him possibly chartering? And I told them, I said, my spirit, everything is telling me, and my son is saying the same thing. And I've met with some of the other cousins who are actually practicing. Um, why not Tuscarora? I mean, that's what we are, and why not? Why we're trying to recreate, you know? So everybody got on board with that, and that's what we've done. I had to make a few changes along the journey, but that's what we did. A couple of elders said, "Well, we want you to take the bull by the horn," and it's been on the popping ever since.
Yeah, so they pass you the mantle, basically.
Pretty much, pretty much.
Okay.
I mean, they're up in age, and I'm already out and talking with different people. They, I guess, they see me already doing the work and bringing the family together, because that's what it's about anyway, is bringing your family together. So they seen that, and they felt comfortable with me. So one thing led to another, and I accepted it.
Awesome. Awesome. Pa, did you have any questions before I question away?
And wasn't one of the elders was cousin Chief Two Bear?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, I
Yep.
miss cause he walked the red, the red road with the great spirit, I miss
Yep.
Chief, man. Yeah.
I think you talking about Chief Two Bears for the Cherokee, right?
Yeah.
Yep. There was another Chief Two Bears that Two Bears met. He was our chief of elders. He was it was that Two Bears who wanted me to, who was one of the elders who wanted me to do this.
Yeah.
Now Chief Two Bears of our Cherokee brother who passed, he was definitely, when I met him, um, full of encouragement and from his experiences, and we were able to have a pretty good relationship because he looks standoffish in his pictures, but he was very embracing once he got to know you. I guess we all have to be a little standoffish to a degree, because there's so many crazy people out there. You don't know who you're dealing with. But once you get to know the person, yeah. Once we got to know each other pretty good, went up to Rhode Island a few times, and they came down here a few times. So we were really good.
That's awesome. I see that you're really active in your community. You're not only are you the principal chief, but you are active in your community. Did you want to share some of the things that your tribal nation is doing in your area with the people?
Absolutely. Um, if you see me being active, then please understand that there's a whole team of people who are also active out there that you may not be seeing. Sometimes you get to see them in some of the videos I post, or pictures on Facebook, but everybody is really active and trying to run a tight ship. I keep saying crazies. I don't know if you've seen that movie, The Crazies. They were drinking some tainted water. Well, I don't know what a lot of these folks drink or what they're eating, what they're listening to, but we have we have a tight ship. Definitely, the women, you can't keep it tighter than they can, you know.
Right.
And yeah, it's like that story of the flaming sword. You can come and try if you want. Don't let them catch you. So
Right.
they're tight, and they can spot out a fraud, red flag them real quick, and then they do an investigation because people have been uh, from different places. Can we join? I think I have. I have Tuscarora ancestry, and you know, they look them up, and they're very much involved in Morse stuff or some other things that gives you a red flag. There was even one guy who was affiliated with. He was in a tribe that Hemok created, and you know, trying to come. You know, what are you doing? um, if you created the tribe that you want to be in, why are you over here trying to cause problems? Be over there and be happy. Yeah. Um, our folks are very, very involved in water rights, land, and air. One of the big monsters that we've been constantly fighting here is Cumorus. We had some people, a film crew, come here. A documentary supposed to be coming out sometime in the near future on Netflix and a few other streaming platforms where they were interviewing us, talking to other people in the community. But it's about the water. They call it forever chemicals, Gen X, PFAS. We've known people here who have died from it, and people here who are still having complications, brain surgery. A mother who had issues with her child because of that, and now her daughter is showing symptoms in her bloodline, and it just goes on and on and on. So, yeah, very active with protecting our environment.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
because if I'm not mistaken, wasn't it supposed to be trying to bring an oil pipeline through there?
Yes, yes. And see, we have a cousin here. She's Skarure Waka from the Indian Woods Reservation. She's a water protector. She's also a part of the AIM chapter here. You got Crystal Cavalier. She's Okanichi Saponi. She's very active when it comes to environment, and I think she's yeah. All of them are part of the AIM chapter here in the Carolinas. So um, as a matter of fact, they went up to Raleigh to protest the pipes coming through. So yeah, they're very active, very, very active. I listened to some of the elders talk about how the older people today need to get out of the younger folks' way because the younger folks want to go out and stop things, and they're not afraid to do it. While a lot of your older folks have been overtaken with fear. So
Right.
I see a lot of courage around here. That's what I'm seeing from our folks. It's a lot of courage, but I also see some fear too. You know, I see a look both sides. With the fear part, just comes education and reconnecting to your ancestry. When your ancestors is walking with you, and when you really walking this path because you believe in it with all your mind, heart, and your spirit, and your intentions is right. When you go out there, can't nobody stop you. Especially when you compound that with other family members, other relatives, other tribes that's standing and walking with you. They can't stop that. So what they
Right.
do is sow seeds of division, and then they put these agents out there sowing misinformation, division within the tribes they try to create, and then out on these social media platforms, you got people spitting off misinformation, dividing people. Now you got people out here parroting misinformation and just looking all kinds of crazy, not taken serious, and being called lunatic and stupid and all other kind of names. If you read some of these comments, you'll see it. And I can't get mad at it. I'm not gonna get mad at it because they're not talking to me. They're talking to a lot of these clowns out there. that just say anything off the top of their head because they think it sounds good. And it does sound good to people who don't know the history. It sounds great to them. But people who are into culture with their not all bloodline, I'm talking about with your mind and your heart. Because an indigenous person will tell you that it's about these connections here. Your mind and your heart, not just your blood. Blood can betray you. But when you got a good mind, when you got the right mind, and you walking that same path, that's your relative.
Yes, I agree. Did you want to break down your ATASA? Am I pronouncing that acronym right?
Yes. Yes. It's actually not an acronym. It's a word, and it's actually a Creek word. It means war club, because the club was a symbol of war and a symbol of peace. And according to the Seminoles, it had a cosmological meaning to it, bringing order, throughout the universe. It's crazy. I was reading, I think it was some military records and some interviews by some old Seminoles. And I've been looking for that PDF. I'm gonna find it because it's in my stash somewhere. I got it stored somewhere. I got so much stuff, I had to figure out where I put it. But yeah, it had a physical and a spiritual meaning to it. So I said, Tasa, very cool. So that's pretty much what I started out with. And like I tell people, this wasn't something I discovered in some cave on a scroll that was left there by some mystical monk. This came from my years of martial art experience and all of the teachers on the way. And I have a friend who's in Charlotte now. We call him Lakota James. He's Lakota. He's also, he trains different branches of the military, SEALs, Rangers, and so forth, in dealing with tactical stuff. And he's a primitive living expert. So he helped me pretty much, he helped me get my thoughts together and showing me that, your ancestors, your Eastern Woodland ancestors wouldn't be as different, that much different than the way you see your grandparent and everybody doing things today. There's a little shift that has to take place. I mean, everything is not identical, but it's in you. Basically, what he's saying, everything that you're trying to do is in you. You just have to pull it out because you have a genetic tie to it. So he helped me out a lot with putting this together.
Awesome. So, Pa, you got to spend time with Chief Eagle Elk with the martial arts. I know that is your thing too.
Yeah, we was down on the reservation. I actually made a red stick for him. You know what I'm saying? And you can actually see him working with the red stick in one of his earlier videos. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, we got to work on some katas together, and he was showing me some techniques and everything what you can do with it. So yeah.
That's
And
awesome.
Pa, that demonstration you did with the tomahawks, that was really nice, man.
Oh yeah. That's my thing right there. I use the tomahawk just like a comma. Most people don't know what a comma is, but a comma was used to cut down crops. It was made like a sickle shape. So wherever I use as a comma, I use it with the tomahawk. Same method.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the guys I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, go
Yeah,
ahead.
go
I
ahead.
was going to ask you to expound on your book about martial arts. Also.
Okay. Yeah, one of the guys that you're going to bring on, so one is our historian, the other one is a council member who's also president of the Thunderbird Warrior Society. So he's been very pivotal in some of the advancements we've been making in bringing us out to the people. We haven't done any kind of official launches yet, but I don't see that being too far off. We're still putting everything together. It's not you think about it and then you just make it happen. If you want something that's going to have some longevity to it, you have to put some thought into it. So it's definitely coming together. And so I wrote a book. It's on Amazon. It's called I Am Savage. And you will see in the first page, as I'm explaining savage, is you would have to do whatever you have to do by any means necessary in order to survive. You will become a savage. You would have to become a savage. So that was the title of the book. I'm what you call that when you're revising? Yeah. Well, yeah. There's gonna be go ahead.
I was just listening. You said a revising.
Yeah, there's gonna be another version.
Okay.
Yeah, more stuff in it. Keith is actually Longclaw that's coming on. He's actually helping me a lot with it. So it's going to be a lot more to it. Right now, as it is in the book now, it's pretty much just given the presence that there is Indigenous American martial arts. It does exist. It's not a myth. It does. I have it also on my Native American martial arts YouTube channel, where I'm showing martial arts in Africa, martial arts in Asia, in different parts of Europe, in Russia, in the Philippines, basically all over the world. They had a form of martial arts, but everybody just thinks that it's supposed to be something that's only in Asia. When I had my school in Charlotte, we had a lady bring in a bunch of kids from school into one of my classes, and he heard a lot about my class. One little kid, little black kid, he heard a lot about my class. And when he came in, he said, "Man, I thought you was Chinese," because of what he was hearing. And I said, "Do I have to be from China in order to know martial arts?" Yeah. I said, "All right, get in line." Well, I mean, that's just what people think, man. Whatever they put out on television is what people believe.
Yeah. Yeah. So you destroyed that myth real quick.
Oh yeah. It's there's a lot of folks out there doing some good things now. I mean, you got the ChitoPa up in Canada. You got Snake Blocker and Red Feather, the Apache fighters out west. And I think the Seminole martial arts in Florida, I think they practice more of a Japanese, but they mix in things from the Seminole culture. And sometimes they even have displays where they're only doing things from their culture, from the Seminole culture in warfare. So there's a few of us from different parts of the map, on the different parts of the map that's doing things here. There's been some folks who came out, like this guy came out back in the 70s wearing a bunch of deer skin with fringes and calling it a Native American martial arts, and all it was Aikido.
Mm.
So yeah, I mean, if you go out there and you're fraudulent, the martial arts community is hard, it's rigid. They'll let you know. They'll let you know. But what I would like to say, there are similarities in a lot of the martial arts. An arm can only your elbow can only bend one way. So if I apply pressure against the back of your arm, it's going to break. It's going to break in Africa the same way it's going to break in the Philippines, the same way it's going to break in America. So some things look the same. What really sets it apart, though, is the philosophy and mainly the philosophy behind it.
My sister said the technique and the intentions behind it.
Yes.
Well, did you want to bring? I have them on the screen. Long Claw and LC. Did you want to
Yeah, bring them on in. Yeah.
muted right now? But
Welcome to the
Greetings, greetings.
yeah,
SouthEastern, yo.
yes, welcome.
Joanne, what's gonna
So you have Quiet Owl, that's LC. He's our tribal historian, and you have Chief Longclaw. He's our council member, and has his tentacles in a lot of different things. You know, he's one of those type of guys, very business minded. So LC is very straightforward, not a lot of fluff, and the truth is the truth, whether you're able to take it or not. But I don't want to put any words in their mouth, so leave that up to them.
Well, welcome. Did you all have any words to say?
I wanted to thank you for having us on and giving our tribe an opportunity to speak. I've been walking this road with my cousin since, I guess I could say, we found each other. Coming up on 3 years now. And I've helped the tribe to get a few things done, and I hope to get a lot more done before they close my eyes and put me in that box. I grew up just a regular kid, like everybody else, scraping knees, riding bikes, all the lot. One memory that stands out above most of them is me sitting at my grandparents' table, trying not to eat the greens. Can't keep me away from greens now, of course. But my aunt asked my mother's father, my grandfather, she said, "David, what are we?" And my granddad looked left, he looked right. He almost looked like he was looking up in the ceiling. He said, "We Blackfoot." And my mother, she said, "Blackfoot, black hand, black behind, black everything." But that stayed in my mind until I got older and was trying to figure out for myself what the heck was my granddaddy talking about. As I began to look at his genealogy, I believe in regards to one of his ancestors, which was a Lee, I believe he was talking about Cisbahal, but of course, my grandfather, he didn't have a high school education, but he passed away with a perfect credit score and built his own house and had multiple jobs and businesses. He was a bootlegger, he was a sailor, he was a longshoreman. Yeah, so that didn't stop him from doing much of anything. And I'm very thankful to have what little time I had with him and my great grandmother growing up. You won't find us doing a lot of arguing online because we really don't have the time. Because once you know and you really, really, really know, it's time to go to work. And mainly what I do for the tribe at this point in time is special projects. Right now, the tribe is putting up additional funds to put together an art history collection. We've been requested by one of the townships that recognizes us to have sort of an education day for the town. So we're trying to hurry up and get this knocked out before the end of the year. And I definitely want to make sure that gets done. I've been putting that on the front burner. The Atasa manual is all but completed, and what it needs right now is editing, and we need to print up a couple of feeler copies. And we haven't forgot about your pa. You definitely on the hot list. But that's just a few of the irons that are in the fire for the tribe. There's a lot of different things. Obviously, we can't say in public. A lot of good things that are coming up here in the near future. Chief may elucidate to that. I'm not going to elucidate that. I don't. The count saying bite me on the butt. But again, I want to thank you guys for having us on. I'm gonna hush from so my cousin Quiet Owl can say a few things, and I yield the stick.
You're welcome. You're very much welcome.
Yes, you are welcome. Thank you for coming.
And thank you for coming on.
Good evening,
Absolutely.
good evening. And y'all, thank you for having us on. Um, my cousin, uh, Chief Elk, and when I say cousin, because I hear this online a lot, where people saying we're relatives. When I say he's my cousin, I mean like my fifth grandfather and his third grandfather were brothers. That's what I mean by cousin. Like we are genealogically blood relatives, right? I come from the Roberts lines that was at Indian Woods, as well as Lower Tuscarora people on my mom and my dad's side. So when we say we Skarure people, it's by blood and genealogy. So being historian, I've always been very adamant about understanding how our people came to be, how we ended up where we were, because those things are very important. Because one of the things they really don't always talk about is, for one, when it comes to Woccon people, they lived within what I guess the colonists would say was 2 leagues from the Tuscarora. So if you're looking at European measurements, a league was just 3 miles. So 2 leagues is 6 miles. That's not that far of a gap. So they protected each other. So when you hear someone say, they came from the Woccon, they amalgamated in, once you amalgamated, you are no longer whatever you were before. That's what amalgamation was. So they became, like he said, Tuscarora people. So we carry the bloodlines of those relatives. And it's very important that people understand that genealogy is great, but going back to your community and being in your community and understanding what that culture is even more important. So that's pretty much, like you said, I'm a straightforward person. I don't mince my words, but I'm respectful. So I'm grateful to be here.
We appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And most people don't realize that, they want to just use a certain word just to say Aboriginal or Indigenous, and that blanket a whole variety of things instead of getting straight to the specifics of things dealing with that bloodline. And then you have people that have the bloodline, but they don't have the ceremony. And then you have those that have the ceremony that don't have the bloodline. You know what I'm saying? So once again, it's very important when people can go ahead on and get both. You know what I'm saying? And also get your language too. Your language is very important.
Yeah,
Yes, it
language is definitely important. Because we are Unkohunwe people, Unkohunwe, which means the real people, human beings. Most tribal nations will have a name that they call themselves, whether it's the real people, the first peoples, etc. We are Unkohunwe. Like that's who we are, and that's what we call ourselves. That's what our ancestors always called themselves. So language is very important.
Yes. Do you offer language classes, Chief, for your tribal nation?
Yes, we have a lady who's been working with us for some years now, just through sharing documents with us. She's actually a fluent speaker and a teacher, but she's up in age and have been having some problems with her family, her husband, taking care of him. So she didn't have time to actually have classes, but based off of the information that she shared with us, and whenever I ask her a question, if I send her a message, she'll answer it as far as the language. So, yeah, we do have language classes sometimes. We'll go over certain things. It's, like Quiet Owl said, language is very important, very important. So if we didn't offer any kind of language class, we would be doing a disservice to our people.
Pa, did you have anything before I ask away?
Well, that's basically correct. And when you have your language, you actually set a precedence for that jurisdiction that you're speaking of. But you actually say who you are, who your family is, and so forth and so on, and that's where the people in the Aboriginal community is missing, because they're not talking to their tribal elders. They're not going into these tribal nations that they claim that's in their blood. You know what I'm saying? They're not trying to repatriate into the nation from which they say they descended lineal from, or they're not even much trying to be adopted into a nation. They just
Mm-hmm.
the Aboriginals on the internet, on the community. Now, how you have a community on the internet, I'm really trying to figure that out. That's something that's beyond my comprehension. I'm like, I got a community online. Like, come on,
Forget about joining a community or being adopted. I just create one. That's what I see a lot of people doing. I just make one up.
Oh
And
yeah,
and they're completely fine with that. But I think right now, people across the country are wising up to that. So I see a lot of talk about pretendians and abos, and I see a lot of talk not only from some of the folks on this side of Mississippi, but also on the other side. So people are waking up. I mean, sometimes they may have some good information, but the rhetoric behind it, their intentions, they just have a bad mind. They're
Yeah.
not out in the community trying to do anything. They don't talk to any of the tribes in the states that exist, and if they do, we have no evidence that they are. I mean, they talk about tribes, but we don't see them actually engaging with any of them. And there's one guy who says he's a Cherokee. I'm just not calling his name. Who created the whole Niji? Who stole, not create, who stole the Niji word? He said he was Cherokee and that he was a part of the tribe, and his father or grandfather, somebody took him to the reservation. But none of that stuff. There's no video. He's got video of everything else except for that. Why not have any kind of community involvement? And if you're claiming something, where are they at? I think Turtle was playing something on his show. No, let's see, he was playing a show on his show, and I think some folks contacted the Cherokee and they didn't claim them. So that's letting you know that there's lies. People are lying out there.
Wow.
And making money. It's not right.
And then another thing is you have in the Aboriginal internet community that they are saying that the transatlantic slave trade never happened, but yet if you talk to these tribal nations in the Southeast, they say something totally different.
It definitely happened. So I don't know why. Well, first of all, to say the slave trade didn't happen in general would be disingenuous, because you have to deal with our relatives up and down the East Coast that were already been sold into slavery before and during the transatlantic slave trade. You
Right.
can't skip over that, because our relatives were being sold right across the county line to the point to where, and Chief Eagle, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but they were sneaking off Madam Mesquite Reservation, going to the plantations, getting people back. Like, it's documented. They were tired of Tuscarora people going off the Reds to go get people. They didn't care whether you were mixed, full. It didn't matter. If you were of our people, we bringing you home. That was their thought process.
Right.
It got to the point where South Carolina said if they caught any of us down there, they were going to kill us on the spot.
Right.
Yeah. What they should focus on is, okay, yes, they embellished the numbers. They shouldn't go on to say a lie saying it never happened. That's where they F up. It's exhausting. But that just like took me somewhere else. But Pa, you got anything? Because I'm about to.
Yeah, yeah. Well, this is the thing, right? The Aboriginal internet community, they just want to be full-blooded Indians with no admixtures.
Mm-hmm.
And, and it's like, okay, well, how you have the Seminoles that had the Escaluse then, or which became known as the Black Seminoles, if that didn't happen, and even during certain times where you had the Indian slave trade that happened. Well, certain people didn't get along, but when you found out they had an enemy, they rallied together,
Mm-hmm.
if against those that was dealing with that. But once again, people would not know this because they're not a part of no tribal nation. If they was a
Mm-hmm.
part of a nation, they would know this. But, they say these things, but still, it's still on the internet, being the community on the internet. I never saw anybody go and have ceremony. You know what I'm saying? But they'll go to a powwow, but you don't have a chance to sit down with the elders and be taught like we do traditionally. You know what I'm saying? But hey, maybe one day they'll get it right and stop with all the misinformation.
I don't know. I don't know if they will, man. Seems like they're getting worse. They're bragging about how many subscribers and likes, and I think it's about how many people can I get to follow me. And you track how many people's following you through your subscriptions, and then when you actually have on a show, how many people's liking it, and that's their purpose. That's their purpose. When you're really taught, again, mind, body, spirit, in your heart, screaming from your bloodline, you're taught that you have responsibility. That's all behind your clans. You have a responsibility. What is your responsibility? Why are you here? Now that you know who you are, you know your clan, what is your responsibility? Because everyone has one. I hear all the elders talking about responsibilities, but these guys are irresponsible because they say and they do anything.
Yeah, and speaking on the admixture, ChitoPa, you cannot be from the Eastern Woodlands, Northeast or Southeast, and you don't have an admixture. It's impossible. We have Irish, Scottish, etc. Even some other tribes might have married in, but most of our blood obviously is Skarure or Tuscarora. But for relatives to, or for people, I should say, to say that we're not mixed or we're just, no, that's not possible. Especially if you're from a Virginia or a tribe within the Carolinas.
And then you know what
Yeah.
another thing is? Like what Chief just said about responsibility. Who these guys and ladies have to answer to when they're out of line?
Nobody.
They're lone
Nobody.
wolves, so
They don't have nobody to pull these pigtails, so therefore they're basically wild Indians.
Their
Yeah.
subscribers. They're answering to
They
their
have
subscribers.
nobody to answer to, and you can't verify their information because grandma is the fall guy. Everything is on grandma. That's why I say, well, where's the community then? Verify it through your community involvement. Verify yourself. Verify what you claim, who you claim to be, by showing your community. Does the community claim you? The community that you claim, do they claim you? Is the question. And then what are you doing for the community, in the community? What are you doing? If you're spending 6 hours and 10 hours on YouTube, you can't be doing too much in the community. Your community is your living room or bedroom with your computer, internet community. And, you know,
Hey, look,
I'm not hating on, you know, podcasts and YouTube shows, those are good, but those are supplements to show what's going on in the community.
Right.
The YouTube isn't the community. Go ahead, Pa.
and you know what? They don't even much do a disclaimer, right? They don't even much do a disclaimer. Say, well, I like to do a disclaimer to say that anything that I say will be on my own personal merit, you know, and not the merit of my nation. They don't say none of that. But yet, I noticed that when they're not of a nation, they get to talk about everybody else, but they can specifically talk about the nation that they're supposed to be from. And I find that strange because, you know, one of the guys, he had somebody on his show and said that the Muskogee and them was Moors and Muslims, and that the Creeks were Greeks. And I'm like, where that happened?
What?
Yeah. And then I'm like, they always talk about somebody being white, but yet you got a so-called priest teaching you this information, but he's not of a nation or nothing, you know. But you know, he called himself the old world Florida. You know what I'm saying? Talking about that the Muskogee is Muslims and that Tallahassee means Allah. And I'm like, oh no, it doesn't mean that. And I'm like, how people are so gullible to fall for that? It said that the Seminole was Semites. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, how did, where did that?
Please, please, people, learn who you are and learn your tribal ways.
Oh
Wow.
my!
But the
They,
only way they can do that is if they go back home.
Right.
You can read 1,000 books, but there are things that you are not going to learn until you're sitting down with your people, with your clan members, with the relatives that are designated to teach. Like, it's just some stuff you're not going to get in a book.
Right.
There was a guy on Facebook who was claiming to be a genealogist, was helping somebody who said they had ancestry, Tuscarora ancestry, and connected them to us and gave her all kinds of false hope because his information was so generic. The only way you're going to know these families is to talk to them. Some names changed over time. Like we have a family name that existed in the 1600s that did not exist anymore as a family name in the late 1700s. It changed. I mean, that's why I don't get into other folks' business because I don't know their families like that. I know my family, I know our folks, but I don't know everybody's family, so I stay out of their business. I'm not an expert in them. You know, going on the other side of the Mississippi, I'm gonna get all into the Lakota's business and tell them who they are. I don't know their families like that. And there's so much to do over here. Why am I spending my time trying to belittle and downgrade them? Those folks has been fighting. They've been fighting a good fight for a long time. Now you just waking up and realizing that you may have some ancestry. Now you're going on the hate rampage. I hate Africans. I hate all Native Americans. You know, you hate everybody. You hate yourself. You just don't know it.
Yeah, that's the source of the problem.
I think one of the additional issues that people are facing, because at first, a few years ago, it looked really positive. People were actually digging into their family history, pulling records, and having that aha moment. But the problem being, a lot of them had an aha moment that didn't show them an Indian. It showed them a long and healthy line of European family history. a long and healthy line of Spanish history, and so on and so forth. But you can't make the Indian magically appear. Either you can, or you're probably not. And I think that's where I saw a lot of people in social media doubling back down on the ooh, look, I found this old book and this Indian look like me type of stuff. Which is fine when you tie the genealogy back into that book. Some of the information that I gave to Chief and the tribe when I first discovered them, and I began to petition the tribe. There was a lot of books written about the Croatans of Sampson County, from which Chief and I descend. We are both descendants of Brewington, and I also descend from Faircloth. But you know, you could go to the books written by George E. Butler, and he tells you very plainly, reciting some other government agents that were sent down there to find out about who exactly are these Croatans of Sampson County and why they crying for their own school. They said plainly, we've been calling these Indians mulattoes since the beginning of time and memorial, and we just try to push them into the Negro school, and unquote. And but that type of book or those type of quotes, they don't really help you a lot if you can't tie yourself back into that history. And people just got to understand the books are great, but don't leave the genealogy alone. You're doing great with the genealogy. And I always see red flags when I'm watching people, and they're the chieftess of the chieftess, and they're the empress of the empire, and you ain't shown me nothing there, cousin. You ain't shown me that you care about the community, and some do community, but where's your folks? Why aren't you trying to put your folks together? When you say a name, whatever tribal name that you're found, whatever tribal name that you call it, and the pilgrim says that's dead, that tribe is dispersed, that tribe is dead. They're talking about commercial presence. They're talking about a professional presence. So when Chief talks about how he's finding folks, I mean, right now we're scheduled to go to multiple family reunions within the region, and I hope we can make all of them, because all of those are potential tribal members once their genealogy is vetted, and then they show like mind and like heart. But it's all about finding your folks, and all this social media Indian stuff. It's wasting time. The most valuable thing you have that you can't put back, it's wasting your time.
And then another thing is too that you just can't do genealogy just on the keyboard. You're going to have to get up and travel and go to those places, because some of them haven't been digitalized yet. So you're going to have to go to the old courthouses. You're going to have to go to the old church. You have to go to the old city.
Or
You
the
have to go to
genealogy libraries too.
right.
I got a hot date in South Carolina at the Historical Society here pretty soon. I'm hunting for a document. So you're on point 100%, Bob.
Yeah, but
go ahead.
I thought I was going to see y'all at the powwow that happened in the early part of May. That we had the little green corn, ceremony and stuff. Maybe I'll see y'all next year.
I wanted to dip in and bring some flowers, but darn it, we be on grandpa duty up here.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Yeah, I was going to add, if a lot of people would just go back to the communities, if they come from the families, they would find out a lot of stuff. Because when you're dealing with Virginia, Carolinas, a lot of the families are intermarried multiple times across multiple lines, across multiple families. Somebody's going to know where you come from and who your people are, because they've been there for so long. So you can't just randomly be like, well, I'm this. Okay, well, where your people from? What community are they from? Because even though all the communities don't have the same names, those things are important. But I know I can go back to my grandfather, and I used to be able to go back to my late grandmother and say, hey, do we have cousins over here? Yeah, this is so-and-so, that's so-and-so. They went to school here, they was over there. Because, and I don't mind saying this, my grandparents themselves were at minimum fifth cousins. That's how connected the families are. So you can't just come out and be like, I'm related because I got this last name. Okay, who are you? Who are your people? And can people please stop getting upset when somebody asks that question? Nobody's trying to go secretly look at your genealogy or take
Some
somebody
people
off your tree
or
or
the
none of that's a normal question in the communities.
Mm-hmm.
That's a normal Carolina question, actually.
Yeah, that too. That's a normal Carolina question. But
I was
if
asked
you
that question
go,
a few days
mm-hmm, yeah,
Even all the way from Louisiana, who your mama and them?
ago.
yeah, people have to stop getting so defensive because the mindset and the way things are done in tribal communities is a totally different world if you grew up in Black culture. I'm just being real. And a lot of people don't know how to separate the two. Even though
Mm-hmm.
we're a Tuscarora community, we can't just go to Skarure Cottonwalker to those cousins over there or the cousins over in Robinson County and Robeco and just show up. They relatives, but they're gonna be like, okay, why are you here? What's going on? Who are you?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's important because we're separate autonomous communities who are all collectively Tuscarora people. If we can't just do
So,
what we want and we're in the nation, why do you think you can come from the outside and do your own thing?
That part.
well, Quiet Out is talking about his protocol, and I don't see a lot of protocol. The knowledge of protocol has been lost with a lot of people around here. They don't know how to go about contacting and speaking with people in leadership in a respectful way. I'm not saying kiss anybody's rear end, but there are certain ways that you have to talk to the community, talk to people if you want to get anything done. But some folks don't care how they sound because
Right.
your intentions is not to go into communities anyway. Your community is YouTube. And the people that you've gathered around you like the way you talk, which encourages you to keep talking that way. But as soon as you step away from YouTube and you try to go out in the real world, you're going to find out that the real world is not going to accept you the way you are. You're going to have to grow up. You can't talk like you're at the club.
It's called real
Wait,
tribal etiquette.
tribal etiquette. Exactly. Exactly.
yeah, and it's fear also. This is why they have their own little online communities. It's fear of going to an actual tribal meeting, tribal nation meeting with the elders, that they're scared of that for
Mm-hmm.
some reason. This is why they have their own little community where they can be the quote unquote self-appointed chiefs and all of these titles, but it's based in fear. That's what I've noticed.
That they may question your genealogy, like who's your people, if you go talk to these tribes, and you're not going to be able to have a dialogue because maybe you're not from those people. Is that why you're not talking with the tribes, or do you feel like you're above everybody? What I take from a lot of these communities, they feel like they're above everybody. I'm the original, all over the planet, Aboriginal, so on and so on and so on. I'm above all of y'all. You know, that's the energy they put out there. So if they feel like they're above everybody, then why are they going to go to a tribe who they feel is beneath them? Now, if they did go to that tribe and that tribe said, "Well, who's your people?" What you going to say? You don't have a video library on your channel showing any kind of community involvement where these tribes are, where you say that you're from. It's just a lot of hot air, and it's ridiculous. A lot of hot air.
Well, maybe this will encourage, because they're watching, maybe this will encourage them to, at least one out of every, 50 of them, maybe this will encourage them to connect with their tribal nation.
Well, I'll say this, um, because the Eagle Elk was down there on the reservation, um, and there was a gentleman who actually started a group, and he went down there and he told the chief, and he was trying to throw salt on another chief, not knowing that the chiefs and them was related. And so he was trying to find out if he was of my nation. And you know, my chief told him no. So he got kind of discouraged. And then he went to go see a chief by the name of Red Chief that was down there in Alabama. And I don't know what happened with that, but the person wound up leaving, going back to the West. You know, he has a huge following on the social media circuit, and it's like when his followers came, it was claiming my cousin as his chief. I'm like, dude, how he your chief? You not even much Yvmvse. You not even much enrolled. What clan you from? Like, dude, oh, your chief embrace me. Dude, embracing you not enrolled, you know. Like, no, we not doing that, homie.
Yeah,
And it's crazy.
people are hijacking. They're hijacking.
Right.
Yeah, just because Chief embraced him doesn't mean that he is a part of the tribe.
Right. Chief just was being cordial. You know, we know who our bloodline is. You know, and it's funny how the same person, he said chief is his chief, but yet he's going that cousin Norris. And it's like, dude, how you gonna do that? Like, we don't attack no tribal people. Like, where you going with that? You know? But he's a little young knucklehead, but he'll learn later on. He'll learn.
Yeah, they still have that street mentality, and they have to separate that street mentality from, as you said, tribal etiquette.
Right.
Yeah, we must talk again, Chief. We did kind of talk about the McCoys, but you mentioned the Jacobs, and we'll talk about the Jacobs. Those were some names that you threw out there. We'll discuss that a little later. Got anything that you want to focus on, Pa, before we let everybody get back to their lives?
Well, you know, once again with the martial arts, what most people don't know is that it's basically guerrilla warfare, right? Guerrilla warfare tactics. And that's how the Marines and them learned from us by dealing with stealth tactics. Also the stick fighting also resembles Kalima, right? Where we have a war club in one hand and a shadow knife in another hand, you know, or any kind of red stick or any club, you know what I'm saying? And that's also related to Kalima, if most people know what Kalima is, you know. So yeah, we have our own martial arts and everything because it started out as a game, right? As a game, and one of those games would be like the Brother of Little War, you know what I'm saying? Which is a game, but we still have our differences dealing with the game of Little War, you know, which is the Little Brother of War. So you have these things like you wrestle, you know what I'm saying? You grapple, all that's was a part of our training, you know.
Yep. Yeah. When it comes to, you know, I like to tell people you need to have full coverage not just know how to fight on your standing up on your feet, but you need to know how to defend yourself on the ground, be defensive so you can get back to your feet. Full coverage, not just one side or the other. You know, just like full coverage in your automobile. You know, you're protected all the way around. Well, if you're on the ground and somebody's trying to choke you out or whatever they're trying to do, there's certain little things that you can do to help get you back to your feet, so you can continue to either run or continue attack or whatever you're doing. So, yeah, it's an interesting journey. The the Filipino arts, that's an indigenous art to their land, using a lot of the same things that we used here. You know, taken from whatever Mother Earth gives you, and you take that and transform it into whatever you need it to be, tool or weapon. The Philippines showed Magellan and those guys that, hey, with sticks and stones, we can break your bones. And they did. The military, the Marines, where they get leatherneck from? They were getting their necks slashed in the jungle. So they started wearing these leather straps around their neck. And if you notice in the Philippines, when they're holding their weapons, it's in a boxing style, the way they're holding their weapons. So there's going to be a lot of similarities. We're not doing dive rolls and all. How are you going to dive in a swamp? You know, with roots, cypress roots and all that kind of stuff. You break your back trying to do front rolls. We're not out in the desert or in the plains area where it's a lot of flat ground. Certain things over here we can't do. You know, now our ancestors used to take the armor from the Spanish and use it as a teaching tool to find the areas that's vulnerable, so you can pierce those areas. You know, they try to make us. They really try to make us like we're like the people from this land were ignorant. When they would take everything, they would take in, whether it's a gun or whatever it is, and then become experts in it. That's a mastery level stuff there. So I'm excited about pushing this and letting it continue to evolve and outgrow even the thoughts I'm having, outgrow my thinking, just evolve and just outgrow me and let it go. There's a lot of people interested in it. In Charlotte, we had women's self-defense, and you know, me and another guy, James, we actually had quite a few ladies who won tournaments, you know, in grappling. I'm not a grappler, but I know how to grapple through getting my butt kicked by purple belts and black belts. I have a video of a black belt submitting me. I made him work for it, but he submitted me. So you can't be afraid to take a whipping. That's how you learn. That's from the martial arts stuff. And like my teacher told me, everything that happens in the studio, in the home, or in the dojo is lessons for outside. So like in there, you can't be afraid. When you go out, you can't be afraid to talk to these tribes. You need to go and start talking to people. Oh, they're not going to like me because I don't look like them. Or they're not going to like me. No, they just want to know who's your people.
Right.
That's all. That's the start of the dialogue. Who's your people? Now, if you have the ancestry, you won't mind saying it. But if you don't have the ancestry, you'll just probably avoid having a conversation at all, which is what a lot of you do. I don't know who you are. I don't know your ancestry. I really don't care. You know, my main focus is our folks, our environment, my kids and my grandbabies, and all of the grandbabies who are a part of us, and all of the nations we're connected to, and all of my relatives across the land who know we're connected through our clan system. Other than that, I don't have time for nothing else. Too busy, and just don't have time for the foolishness.
Chief, speaking of that, you know, I have over 20 primitive weapons. I have over 20.
20.
I have over 20. I have over 20 primitive weapons.
You made them?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I made them.
Well,
Because
I can't wait to see that collection.
because I was like, what did the ancestors do? I say because if who controls the gunpowder, who controls the bullet shells, who controls the armory, basically. And I'm like, if time was to come and you can't buy no bullets, then what you gonna use for survival?
Right.
You know, and then if you buy a swedger, then they gonna know why you buying the swedger for. I mean, you can buy a swedger, but you still got to get the gunpowder, the shell, and the bullets. And then if you get too much amount of gunpowder, they gonna know what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, I have a lot of primitive weapons. I've been working with them in the backyard. You know what I've been doing, more shows.
Well, that's good. That's good. I can't wait to see your collection, man.
Yeah.
And see you work them.
Oh, somebody trying to give us some music. That was you, JaGuar? You being the DJ over there?
No, I was trying to share.
Hey, Pa, is somebody doing your hair?
Yeah, my sister doing my hair.
Oh, okay. I was wondering if I was seeing things. Okay.
Yeah, that's how I keep my fresh so locked, so fresh and so clean.
Nice.
Yeah, hair at the root, baby. You got a free advertisement and plug in.
Thank y'all. Come on.
Yeah.
Always open.
So, you know, there's only one person that can do my locks, you know. So yeah.
Yeah,
But that's the thing, you know. Yeah, dealing with the training and stuff, that's a must. When you're part of a warrior society, you know, that's things that people need to train for, you know, and you know, most people, they don't even much know how to hunt, they don't know how to trap, they don't know how to fish, you know what I'm saying? Basically, they don't know how to live off the land. Some do, but some don't, you know, and that's why I'm at. You know, if anything was to happen in society, how you gonna feed your family and yourself? That's another thing, you know. Being on the internet is not your family.
Sometime in the near future, we're going to have a primitive living weekend. It's something I've been thinking about for the past 4 years, and yeah, I've been thinking about it for a while. Just haven't been able to pull all the resources together yet. Bring in different people in, for instance, like Lakota James, and you know, about 5 minutes away from where I live, there's an elder and his wife. His wife is Inuit and he's Mi'kmaq, and they live here. I don't know how they found their way here but I'm glad they are, because they came with a wealth of knowledge. So they know they're pretty good with primitive living as well, and bringing other people in. And I want to be able to accommodate. So we got certain locations that give us what we need for when you have to go out and make fire or making shelter and all these different things. And then we're water everywhere. So as I keep working on this and pulling it together in the very near future, just putting it out there, we're going to have a primitive living weekend. And bring your tents whenever we happen. Bring your tents because you'll probably be sleeping outside.
That's very much needed, Chief, because you know, I don't know if anybody been watching the news, but they're supposed to have high levels of hurricanes this season coming up, and the water has been hot. The water been boiling, you know, and it's gonna be a time where you can't be comfortable. You're not gonna have an air conditioner. You're not gonna have a refrigerator. You're not gonna have a bathtub or a shower. You're gonna have to make these things natural. You
Yep.
know,
Yep.
you're gonna have, you know, you might not have toilet paper. You might have to learn how to use certain leaves to make sure you don't get no poison ivy to wipe your butt with, or the poison oak to wipe your butt with. Right? You know, because you're gonna be itching instead of
I mean,
you know, itching instead of.
I'm out here at the yard today, and I sliced my hand on a rusty something that came off of the swing set, and I was chopping down some of these pine tree limbs that fell, and as I cut my hand, wiped it off, I just took the sap, you know, the resin from it, and sealed up the cut, and healed it. And you know, when I was done outside, I went in and washed it and put some peroxide on it. But there's medicines out here, and there's courses to teach you about these medicines, and there's people out here, elders and other folks, and you know, I'm not putting everything on the elders. There's a lot of knowledgeable people out here, people in their 20s and 30s that can teach you stuff about living off the planet. You just have to be open-minded enough to listen to people, and don't think you know everything.
Yep, you're absolutely right. You know, because they probably got that information from the elders. You know I did. So yeah, so these things, you know, have to learn how to make a tent. You know, and mostly when you was a child, you learn how to make a tent out of your bed sheet, out of your comforter or your quilt. So you know how to make it, but that was inside. So now you have to learn how to do it outside. You know, take that blanket, and if you have some plastic bags, line that plastic bag under there. That's to keep the rain from coming through. You know, so you know how to take a rope and pitch it to it. You know, so it's easy. There's certain many ways you can do it. You know, if you have some saran wrap, you can make a rain shelter. You know.
My daughter was looking at a show a little while ago. We was looking at the people over in the Congo, looking at how they live, and we was looking at the people over in Mongolia and looking at how they live. If they can do it, you can do it. They've been living that for thousands of years. Siberia, Mongolia, harsh winters, a lot of barren land, but they learned how to survive off of it because they were taught by the elders. Same in the Congo. We were looking at the pygmies and looking at how they were living over there. You know, the show was actually about weed. You know, the pygmies are capitalizing on weed right now. That's what the show was about. But I was looking at how they live too. So if they can do it, you can do it. Our ancestors here lived the same. They were able to live off the land. We've forgotten our way. We lost our way. We've been taught a different way that separates us from the sacred circle. Now we believe that we're above the circle. We dominate, we subdue, conquer and subdue. That's what the scriptures tell you to do. You know, in the language that you read it in anyway. So we just got to get back to the old ways, and that's a sustainable way of living. You have Oren Lyons talking about that all the time. Chief from the Onondaga talking about that all the time. You know, sustainable living. We've lost that. So we're going to get it back, slowly but surely.
Yeah, don't be afraid to get out your house. You got to get out of that mode of being comforted.
Yeah.
And also make sure every home's supposed to have an emergency kit.
Yeah, I got one. I got my little gear.
I think Quiet Owl lost his signal. So he dropped out.
Yeah, he did that voluntarily, or it may have been an error.
Yeah, many people, if you ask them about Native American or indigenous martial arts here, You know, they'll talk about mystery, they'll talk about myth. But at the end of the day, if you're paying attention to the historical documents left behind by the cavalry, the old army, the colonial forces, they will tell you that a lot of the methods and tactics used by the red, quote unquote, red man, they absorbed. So if anyone has doubts, if anyone has issues, feel free to go join the army and become a ranger. A lot of the tactics and a lot of maneuvers that they do, that's been passed down from when they learned them from when they were taking the land from the indigenous people.
Well, I don't think I have any more questions. Chief covered the things that I wanted him to cover. Pa, you got anything?
Well, I'd like to know what's going on in the comments section. Do we have any comments or any questions? Or you want to go ahead on and put up the link and then somebody come on and ask a question if they choose to? If me,
Yeah, I will share the link. Does anybody have a question for our special guest or the panel today?
because I haven't been able to see the comments because I'm on my phone.
Yeah,
You know,
everybody's just saying hello when they come in. Their traditional greeting. That's
and I'd
basically.
like to thank everybody who joined in the chat. You know, thank y'all for participating. You know, so don't forget, press the link to share and subscribe. You know, and we do have some merch. You know, we're putting that out there. So, you know, get the Southeastern TalkingStick, get your lick, you heard me.
I would like to say something real quick about fauna. Fauna is not the Indian police. It's not the Indigenous American police or we're not police. Our fauna is not police. We're not policing who's indigenous or not. What you do see some folks, some of us talking about is some of the misinformation that we're seeing out there. Anybody with a good mind is going to speak against misinformation and things that are perceived to be lies. We're not questioning genealogy. If you have it, great. The way you put yourself out there, front and center, and as a leader with a community, whether it be on YouTube or whatever, then if you're asked, you should show some of your genealogy, show your community, show how you are the person or the people you're claiming to be. That's it. But we're not policing anyone. We've had some disgruntled folks who wanted to, how can we join fauna? Well, you can't. Fauna is a nation to nation type organization, not as an individual can join. Everybody has to go through the same process. Some people get pissed off about the process. The process, it is what it is. You know, we all had to go through the process. And if you have the genealogical ties, if you have all the information that's required, you know, there's no issue. But when you don't have that information, that's when you start getting disgruntled and then go off and make YouTube videos and start calling us names and all that kind of stuff. We don't think we're better than anyone. We don't have any beefs with the South. All these things that people are saying is just a bunch of garbage. There's no beefs. No one thinks they're better. Yes, we know who our family and who our people are, but you have that same ability. It's not like we have it's not like we have control over you finding out, or stop being stupid. Just stop being stuck on stupid. All of us have done stupid things before, but how long are you going to continue to be stupid? How long are you going to continue to do those things? I guess as long as people keep giving you their energy, I guess you'll keep on doing that, but I'm hoping that some of you guys and women actually have good intentions, maybe gotten off the path, but just because you get off the path don't mean you can't get back on it if you have good intentions, because you're always seeking truth. And if you're seeking truth, you'll get back on the path. And then once you're back on the path, you may realize that you said some things that you shouldn't have said that wasn't true. Take responsibility. We keep talking about responsibility. Own up to the things that you put out that wasn't right and correct it. Let the people see that you are a leader, that you're willing to say, I was wrong. I don't know everything. Can you say those things? A real leader, a real person, they would admit when they're wrong, take steps to correct the errors that they've committed, and then move on. That's all a part of growth. I've done things that I shouldn't have done. I was put on the spot, questioned. I owned up to it. I grew from the experience. I moved on. How many of you can say that, are willing to do that? It's not a special skill that I possess only. All of you have the ability to be bigger people or be better today than you were yesterday.
And what is FANA for the people who do not know? Can you break down real quick what is FANA?
Yeah, it's an acronym, stands for the Federation of Aboriginal Nations of the Americas. As a federation of nations, if you know anything about the Haudenosaunee or the what's known as the Iroquois Confederacy, it's modeled similarly to that. And FANA is not a tribe; it's an organization. It's a federation of tribes, but FANA is not a tribe itself, and it's not something that somebody can just join. And what FANA does is it helps all of the member tribes, basically creating policies and helping the government with establishing policies to deal with folks in our particular status, because they've never had to deal with people like us before. That's pretty much what it is. I know there's other organizations out there, and I don't have anything that I want to say about them. My vision and my focus is over here. I just hope whatever you guys are doing over there, I just hope you're doing being good, doing the right thing.
Right. Any events for your tribal nations that are coming up that you want to share with the people? Anything that you could share public, not your of course your private stuff.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna send you some information. Indigenous Peoples Day, that's our harvest gathering. Like a powwow, similar to a powwow, called powwow by some folks. We call it harvest gathering. That's going to be October the 12th, I think. It may be a 2-day event, but I'll get the information out to you. I'll also have it on my YouTube channel. It'll be on the Skarure Woccon Facebook page. It'll be on the SkarureWoccon.com website as well. So just look for events in October. It's not posted yet, but it will be posted real soon.
All right. There's a Chief Eagle Elk's Tribal Nation website if you want to check out what he's doing. Right. I did share the link. Does anybody have any questions or comments in the chat? Well, did anybody want to join in before we close out?
There's one little thing that's been weighing on my heart. I'd like to speak with the people that are listening in.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Some years ago, there was a gentleman, quote unquote gentleman. He was ex-military, highly decorated. He was hodgepodging all type of histories together, marched a bunch of people up and down what what was that, Stone Mountain, Georgia. Ended up pointing his rifle at the wrong person, and that pretty much changed his life for the rest of his life. My respectful and humble suggestion to those out there in StreamYard, YouTube, social media land, just find your folks. Stop with all this. Just find your folks, because the task force that the federal government put together for identity extremism never disbanded. They didn't send them home. They're still working. They're still collecting a federal check. Find your folks. Thanks.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you talking about the dude that go by Professor the alphabet that before K. Yeah, him.
That dude.
Yeah, and it's so funny, right? Because what happened is, I like to watch certain shows and everything and see what their perspective is in weaponry, right? And it was like, hold on, if these people supposed to be ex-military, why are they doing their guns like this and holding like that and not using the proper bullets and not doing, and it's just, it's, I mean, like, they'll never go out on no reconnaissance on the weekends. You know what I'm saying? Because the guys in the putting it out on the video like, no, that's not how such and such and such go. You know what I'm saying? And that's another thing. They don't have that many gun clubs of melanated people with gun clubs like that actually go on reconnaissance and know basically what they're doing. And it's just crazy.
Yeah.
And then another thing is, you went up there to Stone Mountain on the weekend. The people not even much there. So that was a whole nother. All that was a ploy for something else. And people didn't just take that into consideration. So yeah, don't nah. If you go do something, be with a group of people first of all. But hey, it's just my sentiments. But I'm gonna get off to that topic anyway. But that's the worst thing you can do is be with a group of people, and even in protests. You don't know what the other party is thinking. So why put yourself in that predicament? Like, why? I mean, that's not very smart right there. But hey, who am I? I'm just a dude on the internet.
Nah.
You and me both. That type of behavior, it's gonna bring you nothing but the exact thing you did not want. When they have little black boxes with buttons on them, they push them. You wake up and you in cuffs. Your solution is not gonna come from the gun anymore. It's gonna come from finding your folks, organizing yourselves professionally, finding what treaties you descend from, and moving on smartly. It's not gonna come from all that foolishness.
Right. It's not when you do it, it's how you do it.
Exactly.
And not making up stuff.
Right. Because it's gonna show, tell, and we who are a part of real tribal nation. And you got some people that get upset. Oh, you think you're in a tribal nation? You think you're better than me? Nah. The same way I got in the nation, you can do the same thing if you say who you really are.
Mm-hmm.
But even with that, right? It's like, what people fail to realize is that you have people who have went through scholarly and the academia world. They have credentials. They put their credentials and lives on the line with be put in right. And even the things that was written back then, they even trying to right the wrong that was written back then. So they was like, I know I'm gonna get a lot of flack behind that, but certain tribes that y'all say are extinct are not extinct.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They are alive, they are living, they still dealing with their traditional ways. And so if you got somebody that's saying that the Creeks or the Greeks, they're gonna look at you like this guy can't be serious. Because furthermore,
That's
the
really
Greeks was the Greeks wasn't even much the Greeks. The Greeks was called Grecos. But hey, who am I? Once again, I'm just an Indian on the internet. I'm not an internet Indian. That's a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Why somebody gonna
Well,
go
clear that up. Clear that up.
I'm an Indian on the internet. I'm not an internet Indian. That's a difference. But hey, they don't they don't know any ignorant shows. But hey, who am I?
I guess people don't have any questions. They're just commenting and they love the session.
awesome. Hope we didn't bore them.
This is awesome.
But yeah, but go check out my cousin YouTube, you know what I'm saying, and get it in, you know what I'm saying? And I know he's a very good martial artist because hell, we come from line of martial artists. One of our favorite family members had went against the little dragon himself. And the little dragon give him his props too. He said, yeah, you're a champion, you know? So, am I right or am I wrong, cuz?
You're right. You on it.
Yeah. Yeah. So
5th degree black belt, is that correct?
Yes.
Right.
Yes, I got a 5th degree through Kenzanichi BSR and Green Sash and what is it? Guys haven't done that in a while. Jifu Kung Fu, dealing with animal form Kung Fu, and a 2nd level instructor in the Filipino art. And I got my butt beat and a whole lot of other stuff that I just like. I will go to different schools who I have friends in different places, and you got to know the instructors at these different schools, and you go in there and just grapple. You go in there and spar. So I don't have any belts in jujitsu, but I've sparred against black belts, purple belts, blue belts, and boy, they taught me a lot. It's like a free education. You go in there and spar them, and then you get your butt beat, and you learn from it. Choking you out with a belt or with your own clothes. The first time I got choked out with my shirt, that was an aha moment. Like, damn, he took my collar and cut my breath off. That was awesome. That was interesting. Well, yeah. Everything. Life is about learning. Life is about learning. Martial arts is not all about kicking and punching. It's about surviving. Everything that you was talking about, Pa, about surviving off the land.
right.
Everything is not just kicking and punching. And then
Right.
these same skills that you learn in the martial arts studio is transferable. Especially with the self-confidence and the discipline and everything that it teaches you. Discipline. And it also teaches responsibility. We can't get away from that word. We can't get away from responsibility. As a martial artist, you got to be responsible. You know that you can hurt. You can do that. Certain things that you can do that you shouldn't do. You have to practice
Responsibility.
restraint.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And what most people don't know is actually your clothes is a part of your body.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So but we're gonna have one session where we go specifically deal with the martial arts within itself. So
Okay.
this is prelude to it. So yeah. So thank you and family and them for coming on and sharing information. So
Okay.
we'll have more dialogue in the future. As soon than later.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, when you're not busy, because we know you are about your tribal nation and your community. So whenever you have a second, we welcome you back.
Awesome. And whenever you go live, I'm usually checking you out. Sometimes I can't comment or say anything, but I am listening. I do the same thing with Turtle. Usually when he's live, I'm trying my best to listen because he's got some really good topics. I might not be able to say anything, but I'm listening. Y'all keep doing great things.
Thank you. You too. And your YouTube channel is Wide Awake Radio, W.A.R. Firewalker Big Cat. Is that correct?
Yes.
Right.
And then the other one is Native American Martial Arts. If you plug that in, you'll see our channel pull up.
So now y'all know where to find Chief. Okay, Native American Arts. Right. Yeah, I was gonna try to share my screen. I don't know what's going on right now, but I did include your website on the screen. So Wide Awake Radio and the website is on the screen, everybody. So any final words before we say goodnight? Anybody?
I like to thank y'all for just giving us this opportunity, this platform to come on and share a little bit about ourselves. Y'all have a pretty good show. I like listening to it. So this has definitely been an honor to be a guest, to be amongst the other guests that you've had on here. I hope you keep on. I wish the best for you and that you keep on shooting for the top. Keep climbing, doing great things.
What All right.
Thank
Well,
Thank y'all. Appreciate it.
all right. Y'all have a good night.
All right, you do the same. Y'all take care.
Too.
All
Take
right.
care.
All right. Till next week. Y'all have a good weekend on purpose.
Yes, sir. You already
Yes,
know.
sir. Yes, sir.
And
All
stay
right.
safe.